What the hell did I just watch? It certainly wasn't The Mandalorian, was it? You would think a show called The Mandalorian would have a Mandalorian in the episode. I would say what these writers wrote was cancer, but at least cancer has the decency to kill people. This episode wants you alive and feel every bit of pain it can slowly jam into your eyeballs. It made me wish I was more blind than I am already.
I can say...
In filmmaking, they say learn the rules, so you know which ones to break. No one gave that memo to these writers of episode 3 who decided the rules are just for dickheads. One of the major rules in screenwriting is to show, don't tell. Another one is to always keep the action moving forward. They must have written this script with one hand as they used the other one to slowly jerk themselves off underneath the desk. We left episode 2 with Mando saved by Bo-Katan for a second time from drowning inside the mythosaur lair. They leave Mandalore and they are intercepted by a TIE fighter squadron. And here is where you realize the writers have only 2 brain cells and they're both fighting for third place. A laser bolt hits the nose of the ship. The audience heard it. The audience seen it. Mando, sitting behind Bo-Katan, says, "We took a hit." Are we doing this? Are we really freaking doing this where a character speaks about what we saw as if we were blind? Thanks, Mando. You've conquered my eye polio with your real-time descriptions. And so begins some of the worst back-and-forth banter during an action sequence your ears have ever witnessed. It makes you wonder if Pedro Pascal, in some kind of weird compromise not showing his face so much, demanded more lines to be read because Mando and Bo-Katan blab on and on about crap that we are literally watching with our own freaking eyes. This is like that substitute teacher you got once in a while who treated the entire class like they were special needs, and by the end of the day you wondered if you really were and no one told you. We leave that utterly useless dialogue of a scene to go to Coruscant where Dr. Pershing, the first person to put a bounty on Gorgu, the whole reason the show exists, is giving a speech on cloning, and then some sob story about his background and why he got into cloning and his mother's dying from a heart failure. Don't care. And he's part of the New Republic rehabilitation program. Don't care. After his speech, he's greeted by an assortment of A-hole and B-hole characters who seem important enough, but don't care. At this point, we kind of just want to get back to Mando and Bo chatting about the next big thing we're all staring at with our perfectly good eyes. It's much more interesting than this shit, I guarantee you that. Dr. Pershing gets in a cab where he finds the most chatty droid that's flying it, and it can't stop talking throughout this entire scene. It's about 3 minutes long of a robot talking to Dr. Pershing. Dr. Pershing is not talking to the robot, it's just the robot talking to Dr. Pershing. That's the whole damn scene. And if this scene is a metaphor where the robots are the writers and Dr. Pershing is the audience, then kudos to them, they are nailing this relationship. He is taken to Amnesty Housing where a group of people invite him over to drink and continue some more backstory and exposition. They're all talking. They all seem to sit around a table and reminisce about past exploits by talking. And this is only 16 minutes into the show, and there's more talking in this episode than all the women in my family gathering in the living room for 8 hours. But wait, we gotta talk some more. We haven't been formally introduced to the picnic bench. He's introduced to characters whose only designation is a letter and a number. And one of them, G68, he recognizes because she was on Moff Gideon's ship with him. They bond over yellow travel biscuits for another minute before you want to open up a lightsaber into the side of your head and end it all. Later, the doctor's doorbell rings and a single box awaits him. He opens it up and it's yellow travel biscuits he fondly remembers. And what does he say? Say it, doctor. You know you want to say it, you beta bitch. You better tell me what you're looking at or so help me God.
Travel biscuits.
Shut up! 20 minutes into the episode and the revelation hits you. This tick turd of a secondary or even thirdendary character is actually the main character of this episode. We are about to go through all of his acclamations on Coruscant, like how he feels his new job is beneath him. And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to clone. He enjoys a carnival ice cream with G68, who convinces him that he should pursue cloning on his off time, even if it's against Republic law, because in the end, it benefits the Republic. At first, he rejects this notion, but upon further examination of his own failures, he determines to make things right by continuing his research? Well, gee, that didn't take much convincing. Just a, hey, you should do the thing that was deemed unethical by the Republic because in the end, it will benefit the Republic. Look, Here, huddle up. Sometimes writers need to get hit in the head. Sometimes a little bit of CTE will straighten out that writing part of their brain. It is clear that G68 is nudging this thing to happen for nefarious purposes. Maybe she's working for the Empire, or maybe she's testing his loyalties to the Republic. It's one of those things that the writers don't outwardly express because they think they're being clever, even though they telegraph this plot point faster than a fat kid on a Snickers bar. He and G68 head out to steal a mobile lab station, and the only way they can find one is in the junkyards. As they trek on their way, they even happen to, I kid you not, throw in I got a case of the Mondays joke not once, but twice in the span of 3 minutes.
Tongs days, am I right?
Tongs days, am I right?
In order to not get caught on the train by police, G68 suggests to jump off the high-speed moving train from the caboose. Of course, it's going to take a little convincing to commit possible suicide over a mobile lab station with someone you just met like a week ago. How does she convince him to possibly commit suicide over a stupid mobile lab station nobody in the audience gives a shit about? She puts out her meaty hand and tells him, trust her. And off they go, flying right off the train and safely onto some pillows or some shit because, yes, of course, going from 130 miles per hour to 0 instantly has never killed anyone before. It's not like their human guts and organs didn't slam against their rib cage or anything with that sudden stop, but what the hell do I know? I'm still alive, watching this thing. We couldn't be so lucky for them to leap to their giant stupid death. Why would we? That would actually be entertaining to end the whole episode on a pointless but funny tragedy because this whole episode is pointless on a tragic level. But no, we still have to watch 15 minutes of this beta male bitch no one gave a shit about before unless Mando was going to roast his nuts with a flamethrower. So he gets his mobile lab. Congratulations, dork! And wouldn't you know, it was a trap all along to see if he was going to obey the New Republic laws. And, get this, he tells this General Akbar fish-head-looking bastard it was a trap. Do you get it? Because of the memes when General Akbar said it's a trap. This whole script is so stupid it has to be a communist plot to ruin my day. This episode is an hour long. 1 hour of a bullshit episode. If someone died of a stroke in the middle of this episode, I'm pretty sure this episode is directly responsible. Where are they getting the writers of this show from? Is there some kind of writers swap meet in Compton I'm not aware of? Did they pick these writers up in front of a Home Depot? I'm sorry, but the show is called The Mandalorian. It's not called Dr. Beta Male Gets Catfished by a Buff Chick for an Hour, but that's the show we got.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
The episode broke every major writing rule out there. The writer's ass had to be jealous of the amount of shit that they typed. Put it this way, they typed 60 pages worth of fireplace material for next winter. What's even more impressive was that the script was passed up the chain of command and produced. They actually thought that this was a good script to pay people to shoot and edit and add special effects and music to. Please, let this be a lesson to all you aspiring screenwriters out there. This episode is everything you do not do in a screenplay. Your character should only speak when it benefits the story. If you show the audience something they understand and then have a character explain to the audience what they're looking at, it makes you a dork. And dorks don't get to talk and hang out with the cool audience members. If you're going to have a plot twist, don't wink and nod the entire first half of the show that you have one thought out. We get it. You think you're clever. You do, but the rest of us think that you're as dumb as a left-handed football bat. This episode has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, no entertainment value. Not even the end credits was the best part of this episode. It was the memory of the blank screen before the episode started, when you were oblivious to knowing what this episode was about. So if you don't want 60 minutes of a cerebral hemorrhage that never kills you off, please, I beg you, stay away from this episode. Go out and skateboard. Work on your garden. Throw yourself down a hill, get up and do it again. Drink expired milk. Anything is better than watching this episode. I'll never be the same person again. Like the brains I had before this episode, I'm out of here.